glitter of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Sign an autograph. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle.
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Sure, there's always room for one more.
Well, our heroes are slowly closing in on the Lost Mountain and Bullwinkle's Upsidasium mine. They found some primitive markers in the desert pointing the way to Mount Flatten, but to their dismay, the last marker pointed back the way they had come.
Anything I can't stand is a signpost that talks back to itself.
But this means we must have passed Mount Flatten.
Past it? Look back the way we came. No mountain there.
Yeah, it's pretty flat, all right.
You don't suppose somebody buried it accidental-like?
Not a whole mountain. Now let's think.
Boris, darling, what do you suppose happened to mountain?
Simple, Natasha. Somebody stole it.
Boris, who would ever steal an enormous mountain?
I would.
Bullwinkle, I think I got it.
I'm all ears, Rock. Except in front where I mostly nose.
If Mount Flatten isn't back there...
And it isn't.
And it isn't ahead there...
And it isn't.
And it isn't down there...
Obviously, darling.
Ergo, it must be up there.
Oh, for gunny sacks.
Yes, incredible though it seemed, there, hovering miles over their heads, was an enormous, regulation-size, official mountain peak.
So that's Mount Flatten.
No wonder it's not on the map.
But how come it's up in the air?
Well, that's easy, Bullwinkle. Upsidasium.
And a coochie-coochie to you, too. But why?
I mean, Mount Flatten is full of that anti-gravity metal, upsidasium.
You hear, Boris?
You said it, Natasha.
Upsidasium.
This time we hit jackpot.
What next, darling?
What else? Get rid of Moose and Squirrel.
No, the only thing to worry about is how to get up there.
I'll handle that, Rock.
Getting us up there?
No, worrying about it.
Well, you give me a start and I'll try flying up, Bullwinkle.
Right. Let's go.
Ellie!
Boop!
And Bullwinkle launched Rocky high into the air. Up he went, nearer and nearer to the bottom of Mount Flatten. Then as his momentum slackened, he flew slower and slower.
Golly, I'm gonna stall out.
And stall he did, just inches from his goal.
Well, next time ought to do it, Bullwinkle.
Oh, he did it.
Next time he might, we must stop him.
How, darling?
Observe, Natasha. A villain's best friend, old abandoned mine shaft.
Is deep, darling.
Listen.
And Boris picked up a pebble and dropped it into the shaft. 3 minutes later, the pebble still hadn't hit bottom.
Oh, that should be deep enough. But how you'll get them in?
Easy, I changed sign.
And quickly, Boris replaced the danger sign on the shaft with one which said elevator up only. Then the two villains retired to see if their plan would work.
Boris, what kind of idiot would try to go up in elevator shaft that goes only down?
That kind of idiot.
Hey, Rocky, our problem is solved. Here's the elevator
Bullwinkle, don't do it!
Don't do what?
That!
Rocky!
Never fear, Bullwinkle. I'm coming.
And the fearless squirrel zoomed down the shaft after his friend. Instantly, Boris leaped from his hiding place and boarded up the entrance to the mine shaft.
Oh, Boris, you are one smart fiend.
Only one thing, darling. How we're going to get up to mountain.
Easy. Moose throws Squirrel up, Squirrel throws rope down. Then I got to save them.
And Boris flew to the mine shaft just an instant too late.
What was that, darling?
Only one thing makes noise like that.
What?
Moose on the rocks.
Is Boris Bedanov right again? We'll see next time in Go Down Mooses or The Fall Guy.
What's wrong, Junior?
How do you like that, Pop? I found a bee in a jar, and when I let him go free, he bit me.
Son?
I know, Dad. You got a moral for that.
Right. No gratitude is to be expected from the wicked. That sort of gets you, doesn't it?
He sure did.
As a further example of that adage, let me tell the fable of the lion and the aardvark.
The lion and the what?
Aardvark. Ask anyone, and they'll tell you that a forest is a kingdom. And when you have a kingdom, you must have a...
Aardvark.
No. A king, or lion, if you prefer. For they are the kings of all animals.
So you got hit by a truck, did you?
Yeah, Your Majesty.
Well, what do you expect me to do about it? I can't help it if you're clumsy.
Oh, sire, it isn't the pain I mind, you know. It's the humility.
You mean it's hot in here?
You don't understand. When I got hit, I fell, and I knocked 30 lashes off my right eyelid.
Is that all? Take him out and give him 30 lashes.
On my eye?
Are you kidding? On your back.
As you can see, this particular king was a tyrant. He objected to everything, especially small, inconsequential matters, such as small, inconsequential insects.
Doggone it! Who let that moth in here?
Not only was the moth persistent, he obviously had little respect for a monarch.
A moth killer. My kingdom for a moth killer.
3 of the smartest creatures in the kingdom were summoned. They were a fox, a bear, and a hoot owl, who really didn't give a hoot, but he was there anyway.
Okay, you heard what Aesop just said. You guys are supposed to be smart. Let's see you get rid of this moth.
The fox was first.
It is a well-known fact, Your Nastiness, that moths have an attraction for flames. Therefore, I will shoot this flamethrower, and the moth will commit Hoot Gibson.
That's Harry Carey.
Of course.
Wasting not a second, the fox sent a sheet of flame across the cave. But curiously enough, the moth was not the least bit attracted to the flame. He preferred Limburger.
I say, the little rascal likes cheese.
I noticed that.
Although the fox had tried his best, he met the same fate as the weasel. It was the bear's turn now.
Us bears are usually dependent upon brawn rather than brains, oh liege. But in this case, I think maybe my brains can help you escape that dreaded moth.
Hoot Gibson. Of course.
Who asked you?
The bear's scheme was simple. He put an inverted fishbowl over the lion's head and instructed him to stay underwater. The moth certainly would not pester him there. But this was a moth with a purpose and a fishbowl. Last and certainly the least was the owl.
Look, Owl, I'm tired of this goofing around, see? If you can't get rid of the moth, I'll not only give you 30 lashes, I'll give 30 lashes to every animal in the forest.
Very generous, but never fear, oh sire. I have a surefire plan. Moths breathe, right?
How should I know?
I'll take my word for it. Moths breathe. Therefore, you cut off his air supply and he'll perish.
Is that anything like dying?
Well, something like it. Now, what I'll do is this. I'll put a big boulder in front of the cave and shut off the airflow.
I get it. The moth will be in here, and pretty soon he'll run out of gas.
Air.
Yeah, Hoot Gibson.
Oh, there's just one other thing. Somebody's got to stay in here with the moth to make sure he doesn't fly out.
Well, it's not gonna be me, Buster.
Look, he's always following you. If you come out, he'll come out.
You're right.
Well, I guess you can tell what happened. The owl went to a nearby hill, pried loose a huge boulder, and sent it rolling at the cave. The cave was sealed off from the outside world, and so was the wicked king. As for the moth, it managed to wriggle between a small opening and flitted off to freedom.
Sure, some fable, Dad. What about the aardvark?
The which?
The aardvark. You know, you said...
Never mind what I said. The only important thing is the moral. No gratitude is to be expected from the wicked.
I have a better one, Dad.
Oh, you have what?
Yeah. A rolling stone gathers no moth.
Hoot Gibson, son.
And now for all of you out there who need to know a little bit more about a little bit less, here he is, Mr. Know-It-All.
Greetings, Ineffectuals. Today's recession is entitled, Wouldn't a Trophy Look Nice Over Your Fireplace? Or How to Get Ahead. Being a big game hunter is really quite simple, like me. All you need is a rifle and a faithful Indian guide.
How?
Are you sure you're a faithful Indian guide?
Sure thing, see feather?
You know they're not making Indians like they used to. You are now ready for the hunt.
Look, here is tiger footprints.
How do you know that is a tiger's footprints?
Because the tiger's foot is still in it.
He is a magnificent beast, and you shout to your faithful Indian guide who is carrying the rifle, "The gun! Let me have it!
What's that?
Let me have it!"
Seems silly, but okay.
Your wound heals quickly in the dry, warm climate, and you are ready once again, this time for the biggest game of all, elephant. And you do not even bring a gun.
Hey, Buwana, how you going to get elephant without gun?
All I really need is a little toy mouse. If I show this to an elephant, he will become so frightened he will faint. And so, in conclusion, you can see that getting a trophy to hang over your fireplace is really no trouble at all, especially if you happen to have a flying squirrel for a little friend.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All. I think. And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. See? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Wrong hat.
And now it's time to meet Mr. Peabody.
Peabody here. Sherman and I have a date with Florence.
Florence who, Mr. Peabody?
Florence, Italy, Sherman. Today, the Wayback Machine will take us back to the year 1506 to a small studio in Florence where we'll visit that great genius of the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci. It was child's play for the way back to teleport us into the 16th century. Before we knew it, we were standing before the master painter as he applied the finishing touches to one of his creations.
All done. That's the best picture I'm a drawing all week.
Another masterpiece, Leonardo?
You betcha, Boots. Here, take a look.
Do not disturb. Is this what you painted?
Sure. You like?
It's brilliant. But why are you painting signs?
Make a festive buck, that's why. How about a nice out to lunch sign? I'ma do it for you in the future.
Thank you, no.
I still don't get it, Mr. Da Vinci.
Hey, call me Lenny.
Well, what I don't understand, Lenny, is how come you're not painting masterpieces?
Da Vinci led us into a small alcove. On an easel stood an incomplete portrait.
Here's why I'm no painting masterpiece. Last week a fella come to me, asked me to paint a picture of his wife. She's named Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa? Yes, I've heard of it.
Well, the husband say, I'm gotta paint a Mona Lisa with a smile. Only Mona Lisa, she no got a smile. That's why I no finish the picture. Paint the signs instead.
I was about to ask why Mona Lisa wouldn't smile when the door opened and in came the subject herself.
That's a Mona Lisa. Hey, Mon, smile for the guys.
I studied that classic face. She tried her best to smile. But couldn't. It was then I noticed her swollen jaw. She has a toothache.
Well, no wonder she won't smile.
Toothache! And all the time I think she's got a jawbreaker in her mouth.
We insisted upon escorting the poor girl to the nearest dentist. Unfortunately, his methods of pulling teeth left much to be desired.
Now, this way is gonna work. I'm gonna shoot a bow and an arrow. The arrow she's tied to string. String she's tied to the tooth. When the arrow goes, the tooth goes.
Drawing the bow taut, the dentist aimed at a distant target, then let the arrow fly. And fly it did. So did Mona Lisa.
Aye, that's a pretty strong tooth you got there, Moni.
Undaunted, the determined dentist took us to a high cliff.
All right, Moni. This time we get the tooth out for sure. Now, you just take one little step forward.
But if she does that, she'll go right over.
All right. Now, Mona, please, whatever you do, land on your face.
But she'll get hurt.
Yeah, but the tooth, she's gonna come out. All right, now you watch me, Mona. Put your little left foot out first. Now you're right. And before you know it, you gonna go...
Well, there goes our last hope.
Not our last, Chairman. It simply means we'll take matters into our own hands.
You have something in mind, Mr. Peabody?
Yes. Lunch.
Lunch?
Lunch. We adjourned to a neighborhood pizza parlor and consumed 3 well-done pies.
That was delicious, Mr. Peabody. But what are we going to do about Mona Lisa's toothache?
I think we'll find it's better now, Sherman. Let's go back to Da Vinci's studio.
Hey, the picture's all done. What do you think?
I like it.
I do, too.
I wish I did. But that half a smile, she's a bother me.
Somehow I have a feeling, Mr. Da Vinci, that half smile will be the making of this portrait.
Hey, you crazy?
No, I mean it.
I don't understand, Mr. Peabody. How come she's only wearing half a smile?
Those pizzas we had for lunch, Sherman. You see, I reasoned that some consistent chewing would loosen her tooth sufficiently to cause it to fall out. Unfortunately, it was a front tooth that bothered her. Oh, well, half a smile is better than none.
Last time, you remember, Boris fixed up an abandoned mine shaft to look like an elevator. It was a clever booby trap, and it trapped a pretty clever booby.
Hey, Rocky, our problem is solved.
Bullwinkle, don't do it!
Don't do what?
Yes, Bullwinkle plummeted down the mine shaft, and Rocky followed in a desperate effort to save him. Then Boris quickly boarded up the shaft.
2 boobies with 1 trap. That's real economy, Natasha.
But now how do we get up to Mount Flatten?
Too late, Boris realized that with Rocky gone, he had lost his means of reaching the mysterious floating mountain. Quickly, he dashed to the mine shaft, but seemed to be just a little late.
Oh, boy, I bet that hurt.
But what Boris had heard was merely the sound of boulders loosened by Bullwinkle's fall, for the moose was still dropping through space with Rocky close behind.
There's only one thing to do, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, and I'm doing it.
What's that?
I'm falling.
No, I have a plan.
And Rocky zoomed downward in the darkness ahead of Bullwinkle. Reaching the bottom of the shaft, he judged the speed of Bullwinkle's fall, and at precisely the right moment leaped upward with all of his might and met the moose's huge bulk in midair. Stunned and shaken, but still sound of wind and limb, Bullwinkle easily dropped the short distance to the bottom of the shaft.
That was a great idea, Rocky. Rocky, where are you?
Alas, no voice answered, and at the bottom of the shaft, a silent form lay sprawled on the stones.
Rocky, buddy, speak to me. Don't tease old Bullwinkle. Say something.
Something.
Well, that's something.
Meanwhile, Boris and Natasha were peering down into the darkness from the top of the shaft.
What we do now?
What else? We play taps.
But I don't have bugle.
Fake it, fake it. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dee. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum, dum-de-dee.
Hey, stop that singing and dancing up there.
Boris, listen.
Get us out of here!
Who do you suppose that is?
Well, it's not Ghost of Christmas Past. Quick, Natasha, the rope.
Here, darling.
Not that rope, the rescue rope.
And a few moments later, our friends were pulled safely out of the abandoned mine shaft.
Boy, somebody sure played a dirty trick on us putting that sign up.
You just didn't read the fine print.
What fine print?
Here, use my magnifying glass.
What is it, Rock?
It says out of order.
Well, I guess it was really my own fault then,
Now let's get up to Mount Flatten, shall we?
A good idea. Ready, Bullwinkle?
I guess so.
Hurry!
Oop!
And once again, Rocky flashed upward toward the bottom of Mount Flatten, miles above, while Bullwinkle and the two villains waited anxiously below.
I can't watch, Natasha.
You nervous, darling?
No, sun is in my eyes.
Higher and higher the flying squirrel went, and this time...
Yes?
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 He made it!
Hooray!
In no time at all, Rocky had lowered a long, long rope, and Boris, Natasha, and Bullwinkle began their climb upward. A couple of hours later, the two villains reached the top.
So this is Mount Flatten. I wouldn't have known the old place.
You've never been here before, darling.
That's why I wouldn't have known it.
Now I wonder which way to Bullwinkle's mine.
You know, I've been thinking, Natasha.
All right. Who gets double-crossed?
Moose owns Obsidian Mine. We need Moose.
Right.
But now we're up here. Who needs Squirrel?
Moose needs squirrel.
He don't count.
And Boris blithely began to push a huge boulder from its resting place on a ledge just above our unsuspecting hero.
Well, this business is full of headaches.
Be with us next time for Rocky and the Rock, or Braver and Bolder.
Well, it looks as if our time is just about run out.
Mine must be a little slow.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle?
All on this itty-bitty card. Oop!
We're late again, Bullwinkle.
Right!
Bye now. See you next time.
A thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful... A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again, you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends. Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle. The show's about to start.
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people.
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Signing autographs. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle.
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Sure, there's always room for one more.
Well, they made it. Our heroes have finally found Mount Flatten, the floating mountain where Bullwinkle's Obsidian mine is located. But it isn't clear sailing yet, for they have been accompanied by two grizzled old prospectors, Mojave Max and Death Valley Dottie, who strangely resemble those two arch-villains, Boris and Natasha.
Hey, loudmouth! Not so loud.
Last time, as a matter of fact, Boris began to push a huge boulder over on the unsuspecting Rocky.
Boris, do you think this is fair?
Of course not, Natasha. Why else would I do it?
Little did Boris know that the enormous stone was chock full of obsidian, the fabulous metal that defies gravity. So when it was rolled over the ledge, instead of landing on Rocky...
Boris is falling up!
You can't trust anybody anymore.
Yes, that huge stone fell upward until it was lost from sight. Rocky, of course, was unaware of Boris's attempt on his life.
Bullwinkle, we gotta let Captain Peachfuzz know we found Mount Flatten.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. But how?
Just what?
Sure enough, in a very short time, a series of smoke clouds were rising from Mount Flatten.
Keen idea, eh, Bullwinkle?
Yeah. Then how come all the smoke?
We're sending smoke signals.
Oh.
You hear that, Natasha? We must stop them.
But why?
As soon as they send message, place will be jammed with every Tom, Dick, and J. Edgar in country. Then how can we steal obsidian?
You're right, darling. What we do?
Follow me.
And Boris and Natasha climbed to a ledge directly above Rocky and Bullwinkle and began censoring the smoke signals. Fortunately, they were just a little too late, for miles away from Mount Flatten, two lonely Indians sat on their pintos and gazed silently at the rising smoke clouds. Then one noble savage turned to the other and said,
Now, there's something you don't see every day, Chauncey.
What's that, Edgar?
Smoke signals in English.
Doesn't spell very well, does he?
What's he saying?
Oh, just some nonsense about a floating mountain full of obsidian and...
Obsidian. Last one back to the teepee is a blunt arrow.
And the two Indians galloped off to see their medicine man.
All right, stick 'em out, tongue. Say how.
How?
Don't get up, Doc. Just came in to use the phone.
In a flash, the word spread all over the country.
X-ray! Squirrel discovers floating peak!
Obsidian, new national resource, anti-gravity discovery rocks nation.
In no time at all, obsidian, the anti-gravity metal, had become the most sought-after metal in the world.
Think, gentlemen, of what an anti-gravity substance will mean.
Obsidian vacuum cleaners for lighter housework.
Obsidian autos save on tire repair.
Obsidian soap! A facelift with every lather.
Even the children caught the obsidian fever.
London Bridge is falling up, falling up, falling up.
Soon the entire country knew about Rocky and Bullwinkle's sensational discovery. Back at Mount Flatten, our friends were surprised to find that they'd become quite a tourist attraction. They liked it. But Boris didn't.
All those people looking at us, I feel like goldfish, an honest goldfish.
How can we steal obsidian with all those people staring?
We can't, so we go them one better.
How?
We steal mountains.
Well, this plan tops anything that Boris has done.
You know my motto, never steal anything small.
Don't miss our next episode, Mountain Mover, or Boris Sneaks a Peek.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! No doubt about it. I gotta get another hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Oh, by George, that's a good one.
What's so funny, Pop?
Oh, it's you, Junior. Well, I'm laughing at a joke, that's all.
Somebody came by and told you a joke, huh?
No, nobody came by. I heard the joke 2 years ago.
And you're still laughing at it?
Well, I just got the punchline, that's right.
Look, I don't want to sound disrespectful, Dad, but aren't you a little slow? I mean, 2 years.
Now, wait a minute, son, wait a minute. You're forgetting one of my most popular proverbs. He who laughs last laughs best.
I smell a fable coming up.
Which reminds me of a fable.
Now, you see?
Not too far away and not too close either. There was a desert, the driest, most uninhabited piece of real estate you ever saw. Outside of the sand, the only thing that moved was 2 jackrabbits who were prospecting for gold.
Hey, look at that, Charlie. You know what that is? That is high-grade dirt.
Date?
Dirt. But don't you worry, old pal. One of these days we'll strike it rich. Come on, let's get some water.
The only wet spot in the entire desert was a small outdoor restaurant operated by an industrious mule. The only thing the mule sold was water, which he procured from a nearby well.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. And how are we today?
We are hot and dry.
So give us each a pitcher of water.
I would like to comply very much with your wishes, but so far you have drunk 80 pitchers of water and you haven't paid me a cent.
Look, we told you we'd pay you when we hit gold, didn't we? Besides, Charlie has got a present for you.
He has? Oh, well, that's different. Here's your water. Where's my present?
Here.
He fell for it. He fell for it. Hey, that was a good one, Charlie.
And the following day found the jackrabbits back on the job. And just like the day before, they eventually wound up at the mule's restaurant.
No, I regret to say you get no water unless you pay for it.
Look, Mule. Charlie's awful sorry about the cigar joke yesterday. Ain't you, Charlie?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, to make up for it, I went into town. I bought you a real good one. Here.
Well, I suppose it would be silly of me to hold a grudge. Very well. You can have your water today. Are you sure this cigar is good?
It's good, all right. Good and powerful.
You did it, Charlie. You did it. You went and fooled them again.
Now, on the following day, a very strange thing happened. Acting on a hunch, the two jackrabbits took a sample of dirt into the assayer's office and were told it contained not only gold, but silver, uranium, and even lanolin. And they were rich.
That's right, Mule. Me and Charlie are billionaires.
Here, have a cigar.
No, you don't.
Look. Flem and me are leaving for France. And before we go, we thought we'd try and make up for all the nasty tricks we played on you.
No cigars, please. Just pay me the money you owe.
Mule, you hurt me, honest.
Oh, very well. But I warn you. Say, this is good.
I told you. Well, Flem, let's go.
You know, I'm kind of proud of you, Charlie. For a minute there, I thought you was going to give that mule another exploding cigar.
Oh, fun's fun, Flem, but after all...
Well, sir, no one can have more fun in Paris than two jackrabbits, especially if they're rich.
Ah, this is what I call real living. By the way, how long have we been here?
2 years and 11 days.
Ah, this is living all right.
Sure is. Only we better go a little easier on our money.
How much have we got left?
$1.50.
Well, the spree was over, and there was nothing left to do but to return to the desert and dig for more gold.
This is hard work. Let's quit and get some water.
Nice to see you, Mule. By the way, I brought you a present all the way from Paris. Here.
The mule took one look at the cigar and promptly headed for parts unknown. As for the jackrabbits, they decided to get their own water. But can you imagine their surprise at finding the well empty?
Hey, Mule! Come back!
Let us out of here!
So the mule had the last laugh after all. And that's why I say, he who laughs last laughs best.
Gee, that's a swell fable, Pop. And a pretty good moral, too.
Yeah, only a pretty good one?
Well, I can think of a better one.
All right, let's have it.
You never miss the waiter till the well runs dry.
You never did? Oh, Junior.
Ready, Rock?
You sure you know how to work that thing?
No. Anyways, here's what it was supposed to look like.
And now, here's Bullwinkle's Corner.
Hello there. Today's poem is dedicated to babysitters everywhere. Between the dark and the daylight, when the night is beginning to lower, comes a pause in the day's occupation that is known as the Children's Hour. This is a very useful book. I hear in the chamber above me the patter of little feet, the sound of a door that is open, and voices soft and sweet. Geronimo! A whisper and then a silence, but I know by their merry eyes they are plotting and planning together to take me by surprise.
Yeah!
A sudden raid from the stairway, a sudden rush from the hall. By 3 doors left unguarded, they enter my castle wall. You think, oh blue-eyed kiddies, because you have scaled the wall, that such an old moustache as I am is not a match for you all? Like I said, a very useful book.
And now it's time
for 5 or 6 baritone solos in the key of E.
But...
Ooh.
Now for another of our special features.
Should have tried E flat.
In the northern region of Canada, Dudley Do-Right was taking his annual 2-week vacation, accompanied by his horse.
I don't know what I'll do with myself for 2 weeks.
Gina, don't worry. I'll be back before long.
You must know, Dudley, that I can't stand being parted for even a day from your horse.
Well, I can't help it if his vacation corresponds with mine.
Meanwhile, in a deserted shack, Snidely Whiplash was having a trauma.
Homer, those Mounties are getting to me. I can't stand them another minute. Another minute, you hear? Wait a minute, what's a trauma?
The Mounties can't stand you either, Snidely.
You're right. The Mounties hate me like the plague, so I'll give them something to hate. Competition!
Competition?
Competition, the very thing that makes the world go round. They've been pretty smug, thinking they've cornered the Mountie market. Well, 2 can play at their game. Homer, I'm going to go into the Mountie business. The Snidely Whiplash Mounted Police, SWMP.
SWMP! That's got a nice ring to it, Snidely.
So Snidely Whiplash opened his camp right next door to the RCMP camp.
He can't do it. He just can't do it. Who ever heard of more than one mounted police in Canada?
But, sir, that's competition. That's the Canadian way. Besides, he says that your fence is 4 feet into his property line.
Men, I don't know how to tell you this exactly, but we're no longer the only mounted police in Canada. We are in direct competition with another mounted police whose name I won't mention. And this is the time for stalwartism, braverytism, and most important of all, always get your manitism. Oh, one more thing. From now on, there'll be shorter coffee breaks.
Snidely Mounties, you know our purpose, to prevent the other Mounties, I won't mention their name, from always getting their man. And here's how we'll do it.
Stop, thief. You can't escape the Snidely Mounties. They always gets their man. Your purse, madam.
Some Mountie you are. Huh.
Some Mountie you are.
For a whole week, the Mounties did not get their man. This was extremely embarrassing for the Mounties, for they never let a day go by without bringing in something.
Get a man today?
No, sir, but I did manage to bring in this.
The Mounties had become the laughingstock of the town, while Snidely Mounties became the heroes of the town. What the people didn't know was that Snidely was using his own men to be the bad guy.
Okay, it's your turn to be the bad guy, and I'll be the Snidely Mountie.
I can't understand it. How do Snidely Mounties always get there first? Oh, if only Dudley Do-Right was back from his vacation.
What the inspector didn't know was that Dudley Do-Right was back. When he had gotten 2 blocks from camp, he had become hopelessly lost and had spent his first week wandering around in a circle.
Stupid.
Until he found he was right back where he started, except that there were now 2 camps.
That's funny. There was only one when I left. Now, which one is the RCMP camp? Well, I'll just let my horse lead me. They have an instinct about that sort of thing.
Hey, buddy, you better get into this uniform. You know how strict the old man is.
Oh, change of uniform, eh? Well, black is distingué.
There's something familiar about you.
Lost a little weight, eh, Inspector Fenwick? By George, does you a world of good.
I've seen that face somewhere. Oh, well, doesn't matter. Snidely Mounties, listen, here's my plan. Now, the people despise the Mounties.
They wouldn't dare.
Where have I seen that face? As I was saying, the people despise the Mounties and have a deep affection for us, the Snidely Mounties. Now is the time for the great bank robbery.
Something is not quite right here.
Hurrah, hurrah! The Snidely Mounties are here, defenders of the right.
Hurrah!
Shut up and hand over the money.
Yes, sir, Snidely Mountie, sir. If you ask for it, you must certainly have some good use for it.
Yeah, like we're gonna spend it, all of it.
Oh, no, you're not, Snidely Whiplash. I am Dudley Do-Right of the Mounties.
I knew I'd seen that face before.
So you caught the Snidely Mounties robbing a bank and broke up the SWMP. But tell me, where's Snidely Whiplash?
Oh, I let him get away.
You let him get away? Why did you let him get away?
I remembered I still have 2 days vacation.
Last time you remember, Rocky and Bullwinkle finally got to Mount Flatten and started looking for Bullwinkle's mine. Rocky wanted to notify Captain Peter Peachfuzz, head of the intelligence system, of their discovery. So he and Bullwinkle sent out smoke signals telling all. The news spread like wildfire. In no time at all, everybody in the country knew of their sensational discovery. Everybody but the man their message was aimed for, Captain Peter Peachfuzz. The reason? Captain Peachfuzz was just too good at keeping secrets.
Very well, Agent 9, your report.
Well,
Hush, that's a secret, even from me. Agent 7?
Well, I,
Tut, that's classified information now ready for assignment.
Yes, sir.
Agent 6, follow Agent 4, Agent 4, follow Agent 2, and Agent 2.
Follow Agent 6?
Are you mad? 2 never follows 6.
Meanwhile, back at Mount Flatten, the floating mountain, Boris Badenov, disguised as a prospector named Mojave Max, had his problems too.
Too many tourists, Natasha.
What can we do about it?
Think big, Natasha. We steal mountain right from under their noses.
But how?
Simple. First rent airplane and then...
Unaware of their shenanigans, our heroes, Rocky and Bullwinkle, were still trying to find the lost Upsidasium mine.
You remember how to tell Upsidasium, Bullwinkle?
How to tell it what?
No. Upsidasium is the only stuff in the world that falls up.
Oh, of course. How typical of me to forget.
And our heroes set to work with pickaxes.
See, here's the pretty stone, Rocky.
Does it fall up?
Nope.
Then forget it.
Okay.
But as our friends labored steadily, a rickety craft flew steadily toward the floating mountain, and guess who was at the controls? Oh, go on, guess.
Lucky Lindy?
That's right, it was Boris Badenov and his partner.
But, darling, how do we hook onto mountains?
Use your head, Natasha.
And spoil my hairdo? Never!
No, on floor of plane is anchor.
Got it, darling.
When we pass mountain, hook anchor to mountain.
Okay.
Then we tow mountain away to Pennsylvania.
But won't the moose and squirrel see us fly over?
Not if we fly under.
And sure enough, the wily Boris flew beneath the floating mountain, out of sight of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Okay, Natasha, hook on anchor.
And Natasha set the anchor firmly in the edge of the mountain.
Now we pull. You got other end fastened to tail of plane?
Why not, darling? I got other end right.
Natasha!
In a twinkling, the unlucky Lady Louse dangled precariously under the floating mountain. 10 minutes later, a somewhat rumpled Death Valley Dottie clambered over the edge of the mountain and called back to her Confederates.
Now what, darling?
I'll fly by again. You lasso plane.
Oh, Boris, you're so smart.
And as Boris piloted the plane close to Mount Flatten, Natasha dropped a noose over the tail.
You're so clever. You're such a genius. Such a...
Oh, shut up your mouth.
Meanwhile, back on Mount Flatten, Bullwinkle's pick had struck something very interesting.
Appears to be some different kind of stone.
Yeah. Bullwinkle, I think we hit it.
Did it hurt?
No, I mean, this looks like pure Upsidasium.
Oh, boy, let me get at it.
And Bullwinkle seized the strange-looking stone and wrested it from the earth.
Gee, it's so light.
Bullwinkle, throw it away.
Well, how come? It must be worth a fortune.
Yeah, but you gotta be here to spend it.
Sure enough, the Upsidasium was carrying Bullwinkle farther and farther into the air.
Hey, I'm falling up.
And now it's too late for you to let go.
Will the mighty moose keep falling up forever and ever? Don't miss our next episode, Bullwinkle's Rise, or This Goon for Hire.